Mr. Shannon, this night is just as hard for me to get through as it is for you to get through. But it's you that are welching on the bargain. You're not staying in the hammock. Lie back down in the hammock. Now. Yes. Yes, I have had 2 experiences. Well, encounters with...
2, did you say?
Yes, I said 2. And I wasn't exaggerating, and don't you say fantastic before I've told you both stories. When I was 16, your favorite age, Mr. Shannon, each Saturday afternoon my grandfather, No-No, would give me 30 cents, my allowance, my pay for secretarial and housekeeping duties. 25 cents for admission to the Saturday matinee at the Nantucket movie theater, and 5 cents extra for a large bag of popcorn, Mr. Shannon. And I'd sit at the most empty back of the movie theater so that the popcorn munching wouldn't disturb the other movie patrons. Well, one afternoon a young man sat beside me and pushed his knee against mine, and I moved over 2 seats, but he moved over beside me and continued this pressure. I jumped up and screamed, Mr. Shannon, and he was arrested for molesting a minor.
Is he still in the Nantucket jail?
No, I got him out. I told the police that it was a Clara Bow picture. It was a Clara Bow picture. And I was just overexcited.
Fantastic.
Yes, very. The second experience is much more recent, only 2 years ago, when No-No and I were operating at the Raffles Hotel in Singapore. And doing very well there, making expenses and more. One evening in the palm court of the Raffles, we met this middle-aged, sort of nondescript Australian salesman. You know, plump, bald-spotted, with a bad attempt at speaking with an upper-class accent and terribly over-friendly. He was alone and looked lonely. Grandfather sent him a poem, and I did a quick character sketch that was shamelessly flattering of him. He paid more than my usual asking price and gave Grandfather $5 million. Yes, and even purchased one of my watercolors. Then it was No-No's bedtime, and the Aussie salesman asked me to go out in the sampan with him. Well, he'd been so generous that I accepted. I accepted. And Grandfather went up to bed, and I went out in the sampan with this ladies' underwear salesman. I noticed that he became more and more... what? Well, agitated, as the afterglow of the sunset faded out in the water. Well, eventually, he leaned toward me. We were vis-a-vis in the sampan, and he looked intensely, passionately into my eyes. And then he said to me, Mrs. Jelks, will you do me a favor? Will you do something for me? What? Said I. Well, said he, if I turn my back, if I look the other way, will you just take off a piece of your clothes and let me hold it? Just hold it?
Fantastic.
And then he said, it will just take a few seconds. Just a few seconds for what? I asked him. He didn't say for what, but...
His satisfaction?
Yes.
What did you do in a situation like that?
I gratified his request. I did. And he kept his promise. He kept his back turned until I said ready and threw him the part of my clothes.
What did he do with it?
He didn't move except to seize the article he'd requested. I looked the other way while his satisfaction took place.
Watch out for commercial travelers in the Far East. Is that your moral, Mrs. Jelks, honey?
Oh no, the moral is oriental. Accept whatever situation you cannot improve. He bought a watercolor. The incident was embarrassing, not violent. I left and returned unmolested. Oh, and the funniest part of all this is when we got back to the Raffles Hotel, he took the piece of apparel out of his pocket like a bashful boy producing an apple for a school teacher, and tried to slip it into my hand in the elevator. I wouldn't accept it. I whispered, oh, please keep it, Mr. Willoughby. He paid the asking price for my watercolor, and somehow the little experience had been rather touching. I mean, it was so lonely out there in the sampan violet streaks in the sky, and this little middle-aged Australian making sounds like he was dying of asthma. And the planet Venus coming serenely out of a fair weather cloud, and the Straits of Malacca.
And that experience, you call that
A love experience, yes, I do call it one.